just says auto stop. Hold on. Oh, okay. Never mind. It's working. Okay. OBS Studio is working just fine today. It is today's news in Warcraft. You're getting news. Get over it. Tonight's crack news reporter is Ainann with Rory, the bear cub cat. And as you can see, my poor controller here is being a hot mess as Ainann is getting ready to turn 30, and we're going to have to feed Rory right away. He is a very hungry bear cub cat. He truthfully is. And today we've had a lot go on. I've had a lot of personal happen again, which doesn't really help here because I can't do anything when I'm overwhelmed with personal stuff. Like, you know, Mom has colon cancer. My cat Ashley passed away. Stuff like this. It keeps you from doing things like this because you have to be concerned with real life. And not the real life that is being made up here where, Lord, well, okay, we're gonna run. Maybe not. Someone unleashed a Helcular, I think. So we're gonna have to figure out a way to get away from that. Happens once in a great while. Serves me right for going away. I went away from the window for a second to make sure I was on the correct first thing, and we are going to go like this way far out so we don't aggro half of the zone like we just did. And no, I'm getting away from you too. Get him. The world is a very bad and dangerous place. And here we go again. Just go ahead and do it. And then maybe I can finally eat and get recharged. I've no idea yet. I've been out of practice since, like I said, since real life wrote the plot. So I do apologize for that. Now, we are on the Bureau of Labor Statistics statistician being fired by Donald Trump. Am I allowed to say the word fired now? I don't know. Because, you know, every single day there seems to be a new set of censored words on YouTube that you just gotta, you know, work your way around. And I don't know if that may be one of those or not. Here we go again. My word, I am very popular today with all of these mobs. Get him, Rory. So the crime in this case for being fired was submitting the correct numbers. Yeah, you've heard that. You heard that correctly. The crime was submitting the correct numbers. And yes, it is that outrageous. It is so outrageous, believe it or not. The idiot in chief over at the White House has decided to put out his own alternative facts. I guess Kellyanne Conway was right, huh? He can have his own alternative facts. Why are you not mad yet, people? I mean, at least 47% of this nation is so stupid they will still support this man, even though it's right in front of you. The evidence is completely, utterly, 100% right in front of you, and you are so dumb. Absolutely, utterly dumb. Which leads us back to here. It leads us right back here. 67 votes. 67 votes stops this in the Senate. Let's go over our wonderful list once again. Which means at some point I will be losing my other tab, so I gotta tap back in and out every which way but up. because I'm running off the phone, running off of here, running off Firefox, running off this, running off that. Get him, Rory. Get him. Let's see if we can't get a level out of this. So, in the midterms, for the United States Senate, the Democrats have 47 seats currently. There's 2 independents that lobby with them. That's why it really says only 45 when you go to the page. There's 2 independent senators, Angus King of Maine and, of course, Bernie Sanders, who we are actually going to, the Hubs and I, we are going to actually go and see him at a rally. We're actually going because the representatives in the state are too cowardly to go, so we are going to be going to a Bernie rally, and instead, because Bernie is not afraid to come to the deeply red state. He's not, which I'm impossibly grateful for. But he will be here relatively soon, trademark. The plan is I'm going in there, I will video it, and the moment the video is done, we will return here to Today's News in Warcraft. We'll do a live feed. I'll have the video up in a Firefox window, and we will just run the rally start to finish with all the reporting that we have done. We may actually interview some people there. I don't know yet. Probably not, because it's going to be, you just never know. And real life may write the plot yet again. But the tentative plan right now is to go and see Bernie Sanders. Like I said, we will be reporting on that rally. We will bring you the video from that rally. It will be in the inset up this way. You see where the Firefox window is right now. That is where it will be. I'll probably make it a little bit bigger in the meantime. But since I'm talking about the meantime, let's go back and get back to where we were, which was the 2026 midterm elections, because that leads us to the doomsday scenario. So, let's go through this. So, ready up for re-election, we have Alaska. It was not Lisa Murkowski's seat, but it does have a good chance of turning. I went with the Democrats are going to run the table, completely and utterly run it, okay? So they're going to win anything that's even remotely competitive. That's what seems to be the general thinking, but of course the ballot box will determine that. But again, the Democrats need 67 votes. Period. End of discussion. This nightmare ends when the Democratic Party has 67 votes. And here's the problem. We went to Alaska. Alaska might flip. I'm going to say it does, just to see what happens. Again, when we run the table, you're going to find out it ain't enough. So hold on to your hats. We have Oregon, which is a Democrat. We're going to assume that all the Democrats are going to keep their spots. Now, the next up is Idaho. Didn't win it with that one, did we? Sorry. Montana, you have a maybe on that one too. That is a maybe. The last time this one won their election, it was like with 53% or something like that. So you stand a chance. You don't in Idaho, you do in Montana. Wyoming, didn't win it with that one, did we? Sorry about your luck there too. Colorado has a Democrat. New Mexico has a Democrat. Texas, they're applying the screw job to Texans right now as we speak live. The redistricting is going to happen because one man in the White House is scared of being impeached. If the Democrats have the majority in the House, they're going to be sending impeachment papers and hopefully sending them over every single day. clear. You know what? They're going to have a sham trial because you're not getting 67 votes in the Senate. I'm going to tell you that right now. We'll come back to this in a minute over the House. Okay, but Texas, didn't win it with that one. Oklahoma, didn't win it with that one, did we? Sorry, I wasn't even close last time Oklahoma had a Senate election for this one. Uh-oh. This ain't good. Alright, Rory, just try to keep it going there. Kansas. Kansas is a maybe. Honest to goodness, Kansas is a maybe. You know, it just is. It was by a razor-thin margin. And then that brings us over to Nebraska. Didn't win it with that one, did we? Sorry about your luck, but you didn't win it with that one, now did you? Now, we were at Nebraska. South Dakota. Didn't win it with that one, did we? Let's pop that. Pop the mana and go for the heels. There we go. Minnesota. That's a Democratic seat already. It's probably going to be pretty safe. And the bright side of getting these Yetis, even though I had to get 2 of them at the same time, is not only do they pay you, you get to skin them at the same time. Now, this leads us to Iowa. Excuse me, I've got the hiccups while I'm doing this live. I haven't drank my wine in a while, but I should not have hiccups. Iowa is a maybe. That could go. It could go. Then we go to Arkansas. Didn't win it with that one, did we? Sorry, I was a runaway election the last time in Arkansas. Louisiana becomes a maybe. And that's due to the primary election. The one running right now, absolutely, utterly right now, may very well get primaried. And if he does, that is a golden opportunity because it means the Republicans have nominated a wackadoodle and Democrats need to take advantage of that. It's a maybe due to the primary process. We're going to assume they pick it up. Let's just assume. Okay? Illinois, Democrat seat. Michigan, Democratic seat. We're assuming all of them. Kentucky is a maybe. Oh, doo-doo. Come on, Rory, help me out here. There you go. Good boy. Now, I already know this is... There. Phew. There we go. And Kentucky is a maybe because it's a retirement seat, and not only that, but it was more of a razor-thin seat in Kentucky than you think. Tennessee, didn't win it with that one, did we? Mississippi, the Democrats stand a chance there. Honest to goodness, we do. Which it struck me as odd because Mississippi has always been known as this quote-unquote ruby red state. But in this instance, on the Senate election, it was not by a huge margin. It could be within striking distance. Let's give it to them. Just to say they ran the table. Alabama, didn't win it with that one, did we? Florida, they're getting more and more red by the day. Didn't win it with that one, did we? Georgia is a Democratic seat. Let's just assume that the screw job is not going to be put on to them in Georgia, and that actually becomes a Republican pickup. Goodness. Then we go to South Carolina. Didn't win it with that one, did we? North Carolina is a maybe. It's been turning more and more into what they used to call a purple. Phooey. I'm just going to have to do it. It's been turning more and more into what's been called a purple state. Okay, so there's a real honest-to-goodness chance. There's a real honest-to-goodness chance that this could happen, and if it does, it does. which then brings us to Virginia, which is a Democratic seat. We're assuming they're holding on to all of their Democratic seats. West Virginia, didn't win it with that one, did we? Ohio is a maybe. Ohio always remains a maybe. And that state can swing at the drop of a hat. I have seen this state swing at the drop of a hat. Hey, we leveled up. Oh, it's 32. And it's 32, so we're going to have to go and train. We'll have to fly over to Stormwind. And let's see where my hearth takes me right now. Well, if I go to Ironforge... No, I need to go to Stormwind because I know how to navigate it better than Ironforge. It's weird. It's just weird. I'm sorry, y'all. Delaware, Democratic seat. New Jersey, Democratic seat. Rhode Island, Democratic seat. Massachusetts, Democratic seat. New Hampshire, Democratic seat. Maine, Susan Collins' spot. And it may very well change to a democratically held seat in Maine. It could. So, the grand total of our pickups is 10. 10. Thank you. 10 seats. You needed 20. You don't have it. You have failed. I don't care that you have won control of it. I don't care. Because he will veto everything. Understand that real fast. If you don't have a solid 2/3 majority in the Senate, you may be able to snag that in the House. You could have the remnants of what's called they used to call it the sane Republican caucus, and you may be able to pick that up to snag a 2/3. You probably won't, because the sane Republicans don't exist anymore. The Adam Kinzingers are gone. I have told you this before. I don't have my Unicourse video up, or I'd get you right now and give you the I Told You So song and dance. See, that just went away. Dang it, dang it, dang it. Come on. Now. So, you're going to say, oh, but we have control of the House, and we will also have control of the Senate, and we won't have a 2/3 majority, but no. And again, I'm having to scroll back down to get to my other spot here because I was going to read to you. That's what I don't like. There we go. Is that it? Yes, that's it. Okay. Now, so let's get a move on here, and as I go over to this next map. Whoops! I went to OBS instead of Firefox. There we go. There's the next map. Now, this next map is part of the link that I have put in the description here, okay? And what this was by an author named Robert Hawks, who actually thought a whole lot of stuff through. But we're going to start, though, at the end of the 2026 election, which is coming up. And you know, what probably could be better strategies is to send impeachment articles one at a time and stop everything and keep him constantly on an impeachment trial until it finally happens. Okay, until the moment finally happens and it sticks. And he can be removed from office as a part of the guilty verdict and not be allowed to run for office as a part of the guilty verdict, because there's a big old vote after the guilty verdict of what has to happen next. The Senate decides it. Nobody else in the country does. And that's why you need 67 seats. Right there. That is why you need 67 seats in the Senate. Understand. And until you understand that, there is no point in going on and on and on about him. about the president, and about how this should happen, about how it won't happen, because all I'm going to do is wind up telling you, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so. Literally. I mean, heavens, I'm bringing up Unicourse right now just because it's taking that one. It's going to take over this one here. The Senate election, because I'm getting ready. There's going to be preemptive I told you so-ins, and here's the first one. Number one, the Democrats are not going to get 67 votes in the Senate. We've been over this. There's too much of the stupids that are going to come out and vote. So preemptive, I told you so. So with that out of the way, what will happen? And number one, the Democrats are probably going to get control of the House and probably going to get control of the Senate. Not a veto-proof majority, which they need. And that, my friends, is 2/3. Okay? 2/3. That's what it will take. And no, it's not just 67 votes, okay? Because if you added Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C., then you've raised it up, and I believe you need like 69 or 70 votes at that point to be 2/3, okay? So, no, adding more states isn't the issue here, okay? The issue is that the balkanized nature of these United States has allowed for this system, as we see it right now, to promulgate and profligate. Those are big words, Generation Alpha. Look it up. But you know what? That's not even in advanced. I told you so. But when they take over, the first thing the House is going to have to do is deal with the impeachment caucus. They're going to have to, and they're going to be all polite about it, instead of the way they need to do it and put it all in one big old mega bill impeachment bus, and then send the mega bill impeachment bus over that way to the Senate, where he will be tried, and the Republican Party will not vote to convict, just like every other time, the other 2 times. I told you so in advance. Again, in advance. So without the 2/3 majority, which we know has to happen in order for anything to be accomplished, and again, the 2/3 Senate majority is necessary. You don't understand the impeachment palooza that has to happen once they get there. Because number one, Trump and Vance have to go, and then number 3, if they decided Hakeem Jeffries, then that's, I don't know. I just don't know. There may have to be a 3rd one, and then we have to go to whoever's number 4. Because this is not, I don't know. I don't know. Hakeem Jeffries is not the leader we need right now. I'm sorry to him. I'm sorry to the party. He's not the leader that we need right now. Okay? As we go through Stormwind at night, isn't it kind of peaceful tonight? It's Arathi Basin weekend. It's my favorite of the battlegrounds, but it's kind of quiet tonight. If this were AV weekend, my goodness, there'd be tons and tons of people right there. Maybe the other battlegrounds need their honor buffed, right? But in any event, let me stop for 1 second here. I know I'm right at the trainer, but I need to go to this map next. And this map here was developed by an author named Robert Hawks, who actually thought this stuff through. The whole shebang. And so let's go through it. Let's see what else we got to do here. I'm going to mouse for a minute, okay? So please bear with me. No. Okay, we can do that. Well, that's a sting. What do you do? Oh, okay, I know what that is. Okay, multi-shot 2. Yay. Tracking, 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 tracking. I do need you. And we'll get you too. And we'll just get you too, right? No, only be done after I dodge. No, never mind. I won't do that because they shouldn't be coming to get you. Right, right. This is a PvP item because mobs don't have strength and agility like that. So that is a PvP mob. I learned that from paladining. Okay? Now, so we're going to go here. I don't care about any of those. We're going to get these last 3 things. Haha. And then train Rory. No! I can't do it yet. Oh, he has to be pet level 30. No fair. Oh, no fair. Okay. But in any event, he's already planned this out. He believes he knows where this is heading. I don't know if he does or not. I'm going to hearth and then head over and start the raptors over in Ainann Highlands. Now, so he wrote this piece called Technical State of Civil War, and this is in quotes, okay? And you know, when I redo this and I download and convert it into 4K to put in the video tab, I'm probably going to retitle it into that exact quote, okay? Okay, so just be aware of that as we go onward and upward. But I'm going to start with part 1. He's broken this down into 3 separate parts. Oh boy, I'm going I have to go by Helcular's crew again, don't I? Huh. Now, so it's called Technical State of Civil War. Part 1 is linked below. That's the one I'm going to read tonight as we get ready to rush over to Ainann Highlands and get the frosted lucky lizards on our way. Frosted lucky lizards. They're lizardly delightful. But they're not delightful if you are one of the lizards. Think about that. Alright, so, part 1. Edge of something worse. Quote, America is already splintering. Quote, and as an aside, I'll be doing this and I will be saying as an aside, I'll continue reading and things like that. Okay, so be aware of that. This has been splintering. We know it's been splintering. And people have been fomenting this since about 2008. Let's dispense. Now, I go back to reading this, okay? To his words, not mine. Let's dispense with the pleasantries. We are at war. Not a shooting war, not yet. But something worse in its own quiet, choking way. A technical state of civil war. The kind of war that makes cowards of rules and turns procedure into shrapnel. He's very good with words. Very good with words. Glass shrapnel, completely in violation of the Geneva Conventions. And in Texas, Greg Abbott is lighting the fuse. On August 4th, Governor Abbott announced proudly, defiantly, like a teenage boy who just found his father's drawer full of old... And then he uses a particular magazine's title. You know, like if you were going out to play and you were a boy. Okay, go on. Magazines that any Democratic legislator who fails to appear for a surprise session of the Texas State Legislature by August the 5th will see their seat declared vacant. And yes, this is what he wanted to do. Because this is a power grab. And there's nothing else to say about it. That was my aside. I go back. On August 4th, this, in a bald attempt to force a quorum for an unscheduled redistricting effort, that would gerrymander at least 5 new Republican congressional seats into existence. 5 seats. Bought not with votes, but with ink and knives. 5 seats to hold the U.S. House hostage after a 2026 election. See why I went there? Nah. That by all current indicators will be a biblical catastrophe for the Republican Party. And if you don't understand what he's talking about here, let me tell you. Okay, over in Texas land, they've decided to be incredibly stupid and listen to Donald Trump, the president, who said, I want 5 more votes. And now they're redrawing districts in Texas to make votes, to make 5 more seats to shut him up. That's all it's about. To shut him up and appease the dictator. I go on with what he wrote instead of my asides. This is not about state politics. This is not about Texas. This is about power. This is about permanently tipping the balance of national representation using the architecture of a dying republic to rig the new one being born behind its back. And yes, this is asides. This is a hostile takeover. It's bad. It is bad. If you don't understand where we're heading, do not vote. If you think everything is fine and dandy and you support Donald Trump, don't go vote. Please, stay home. Please stay home. Okay? Please stay home. I heard they might be giving vaccines out when you go to vote. So, if you don't want a vaccine, you might want to stay home. Now, that was a joke, by the way. But no, it's coming. And these are being, and you've heard this word coming out a lot, gerrymandered. It was named after a man named Elbridge Gerry, not Jerry, who I had the privilege of playing of having that part in a little school play way back in grade school about the Constitution and about the setup of the Constitution. Okay, and how it was going to be done. But Elbridge Gerry was very much against this concept. He objected to several issues with it, and he wound up being the governor of Massachusetts. You mean Taxachusetts? No, Massachusetts. It didn't become Taxachusetts just yet. But he redrew the districts of his state to basically favor himself and his cronies. And one of the districts looked, I don't know, in their idea of pictures, ooh, that's a Forsaken Courier, and we are getting away from there. Don't come to me. No. I had Hell Killer a minute ago. I don't need the courier this time. I am not prepared. But one of the districts that Elbridge Gerry's group, I keep saying Jerry because the term is gerrymandering. When it should be gerrymandering, but that's beyond the point. Beyond the point again. Now, but one of the districts they decided looked like a salamander. And so they made a portmanteau. And for those in Generation Alpha, that's when you take 2 words and smush them together. And they made this new word, gerrymandering, which is the redrawing of districts in such a ridiculously obvious way that only the most idiotic members of a cult would say this is fair. Okay? So let that sink in a minute. And I will go on with his words, Mr. Hawke's words. Now, it is a dagger aimed at the heart of the Constitution, and it is being sheathed in plain sight because they think the rest of us are beep blind. He said an F word, sorry. But you are blind. As an aside, you are blind. These stupids have taken over, and they vote. Governor Gavin Newsom of California has responded in kind. He has said, if Texas is going to do this, we're going to do it right back at you and make sure there are 5 Democratic seats to balance the ones you're going to create and screw up. That's what he said. Okay? Letting you know. Just letting you know again, well in advance. And the law itself that is out in California is being written as we speak to state this is contingent upon Texas passing its redistribution law. Okay? So understand that. The Democrats are not doing this to do it. They're doing this because somebody's got to lob some grenades back. And right now it's Gavin Newsom in California, whom is probably the lead Democrat for the office of President of these United States. But I go on with his words. Finally, someone who understands we have to play by the same rules as the other side. Which, I have said that for a while. I did not say here. But I did say, I'm sorry, Rory. It's okay, boo-boo. We'll get you, okay? Now, so have the governors of Illinois, Washington, and New York. All blue states. Okay? All blue states. And, of course, there are some red states that have said, yeah, we're going to do it to you, too. We're going to do this right back. If Texas passes theirs and you pass yours, we're going to pass ours. Indiana is one of those right now. They really are. And just like that, I go on to his words again, okay? And just like that, the pretense is gone. Gone. The two parties are telling you right now that they have all failed you. Get him, Roy. Come on. God, do something here, boo. Come on, boo-boo. Get him. There you go. Good job. Now we got to take that real gentle so I don't get aggroed again. We don't need Helculard. The guard... I go on with his words. I'm sorry, I had to get back into the game and do whatever I needed to do here. The guardrails are being sawed off by both sides. Oh, poo-poo. Well, we'll go to Refugi Point and then go from there, okay? Now, the game is rigged. You know what Trump said it in 2016, but he meant it to where if he didn't win, it was rigged. Okay? This is being rigged in front of your very own eyes. And all y'all are so stupid and so brainwashed in the cult that none of you get it. None. None of you. None. N-O-N-E, none. I can continue to say that quite a while. That, you don't get it. You never did get it. You might not ever will get it. You need to go get some education in you so you can understand what is going on and be able to see right through everything. Be able to see it with your own eyes. I'll give you a kiss just because. There. And the field is splitting down the middle. I go back to his words. We are not drifting towards civil war. We are being carried there. I tried to get you. Come on now. We are being carried there on bloodied gurneys, on motorcades, in armored trucks painted red, white, and blue, and driven by men with no conscience and nothing left to lose. I like reading his words. I need to do this more often. I do. I'm sorry, I do. Oh, got a little too far away. There you go. Now, I have two of you. Now. Donald Trump, our wretched and increasingly frail, increasingly unhinged reoccupant of the Oval Office, has shattered the last illusions of presidential restraint. And yes, he has. I hate it. He has. His executive orders openly violate the Constitution. He appoints judges who have lied under oath and dares the courts to stop him. Yes, this is where we are. This is where we are. And by the way, I can come back to Firefox for just a minute because Donald Trump won't listen to the courts anyway. I told you so! Let me go on here. Senate Republicans, now functionally extinct, and I'm staying in Firefox for just a second. I'm not going back to the game yet. Now functionally extinct as an institution of deliberation, confirm them without even pretending to vet. I told you so! I dislike saying that to you. By the way, Trump has begun personally selecting the general officers in the U.S. military. Yes, he is interviewing them, and only he, and only his word will be the word. I go back to his words, though, on this Mr. Hawks. He is choosing his own warlords, which is exactly what I said, but he says it so much more eloquently, doesn't he? This is no longer political theater. I forget what he's got. Is he just A.B. Quest? Yeah. This is no longer political theater. This is war prep. This is Banana Republic. Beep! It says S word. And it is. How many leaders of the free world do you know that fire people because the person in the office didn't like the numbers, didn't like the truth, couldn't handle the truth? Back to Mr. Hawk's words. And the punchline? Half the country still thinks the Democrats are overreacting. Because, and my words, not his, because they're in a cult. That we're all just, his words, that we're all just melting down because we've lost a few court cases, or that we're mad that we can't get pronouns printed on our napkins. Well, I do hate to tell you this, but in the midst of all this garbage, it did seem like the Democratic Party was doing, oh no, that wasn't good. I shouldn't have done that. That's going to hit like a raid boss. Okay, easy. Alright, run. Shoot. One. Okay, sorry. That we're all just melting down because we lost a few court cases, or we're just mad we can't get pronouns printed on our napkins, but it seemed like that was the general consensus of what the Democratic Party was all about back at this point in time. Nothing but pronouns, NBP. His words again. I'm done with the sides for the moment. Not a beep chance. We're reacting because we're watching the United States getting turned inside out. Did I need two? I must have needed two of them. He wants more fish. Just like Rory and when he was mine. Just like my little bear cup cat. I need to put a picture of him up one day for y'all so you can see. Alright, but let me get back to his words here because I am just rambling here and I need to be talking about his words, not mine. We're reacting because we're watching the United States be turned inside out by men who believe they should rule forever or not at all. If Donald Trump can't have this presidency, no one will. And as I said before, and Mr. Hawks reinforces it, he's not going to give up power at all. What do you think January 6th was all about? Yeah, that little event, that, you know, all those peaceful, lovely tourists who were just going through the Capitol so nicely and was wonderful. Such a great event. It was not. You're a moron and I told you so. The only difference is Robert Hawks says it a little bit more like an author rather than just slapping you like I do and saying, I told you so. Oh, wait, I just said it. But let's be brutally clear, and I'm going to get back to the maps. Give me the map. That map, his map, right there. Let's be brutally clear. Let's be so clear that you could walk into it, smash your face into the glass, and wind up with 1,000 splinters in your face. This is not just about maps. Not just about Abbott. Not just about Trump. This is about a Republican Party that has now publicly declared, again, publicly, it was emphasized twice by Mr. Hawks, by the way, so I will restart that whole paragraph. This is about a Republican Party that has now publicly declared publicly and repeatedly that if a Democrat wins the presidency in 2028, they will refuse to certify the election. Full stop. And yes, that is the truth. You saw it in 2021. You saw it. That's not politics, that's war by other means. It's a coup, in my words, a coup. A soft coup, if not a hard coup. His words. And if you're looking for signs that we've passed the point of no return, you don't have to squint. A party that once claimed to stand for I always put that extra syllable in there, fiscal conservatism, is now openly embracing the logic of fascist realignment. In other words, they won't stop sucking Donald Trump's redacted "I told you so." That is, his words again, that is, democracy is fine until it threatens to produce outcomes they can't control. By they, he means the Republican Party. Well, la-dee-da-da. At which point, the quote, will of the people, quote, is rebranded as a threat to national security. In other words, he will declare martial law. My words. Which, you know, I've said before, he would do it to maintain power. I'm not going to do another told you so yet. Suddenly, elections are rigged. Ballots are fraudulent. Court rulings become activist judges unless they validate Republican power grabs. The legal system has been weaponized by those screaming about weaponization. He's turning the Department's justice and all that against you, and I know I got somebody else, but I had to tap out because I told you so. Off again. The judiciary is no longer an arbiter of justice, but a cargo hold stuffed with perjured appointees, confirmed by a Senate that no longer represents the nation's population in any meaningful way. In other words, they don't stop sucking Donald Trump's redacted "I told you so." A system that allows Wyoming and California to the same Senate clout isn't a democracy. It's a power-sharing illusion. Well, we'll get back to that later. Because we were never a democracy. We were a republic. But I'll debate Mr. Hawks about that another day. As I'm going through this, I've been agreeing with most of the stuff he's written. This is the first stop where I have to disagree. Because the United States is not a democracy. It never was a democracy. It never has been a democracy. Before the U.S. Constitution, we had the Articles of Confederation. And boy, howdy, if you want to know about non-progress and gridlock left and right, you should have looked at the Articles of Confederation. 1 out of 13 states could hold the entire nation hostage, because it took the unanimous consent of all 13 states under the Articles of Confederation. And if you didn't have all 13, Well, sorry about your luck. You didn't get your law. The only good thing that really came out of the articles there was the Northwest Ordinance. That was something that was actually agreed upon by every state in the Confederation. Don't know how. But when the Constitution came about, the House of Representatives was the big deal. That was the population deal right there, was the House. The Senate was the house where everyone was equal. Kind of like the difference between, kind of like the major differences between Lords and Commons over in the UK. Commons, there are districts. Lords, you're appointed. And yeah, you're appointed by the king, and under the original Constitution, if you go back to that text, the state legislatures picked the 2 senators. It was not the people. And in fact, the U.S. Constitution was extremely undemocratic. And I'm not lying to you on this. And this is why I said, how much longer have I got? I've got several paragraphs left, so I can go a little bit into this, about the Senate versus the House. And what he's saying is going to come is better explained in the next one, I believe, in the part 2 rather than the part 1. This is basically the big setup for the other parts. Okay, so that's why he went into this one point about the equal representation in the Senate. Part 2 is going to explain why that statement was there. But I needed to get into this with you because of the fact of how this was written. The Constitution is not democratic. It wasn't. It was designed that way on purpose. Senators were selected. The president was selected by a slate of electors. That's the total number of your people in the House plus your people in the Senate. But what happened there... Help me, Rory, get him. Sorry. Oh, Lord, if I'm going to get that little vulture, I swear. I'm not prepared. But under that system, senators were selected. The president was selected. The president and the Senate, the 2 unelected pieces, decided the lifetime appointments of the U.S. Supreme Court and of the lower courts, as defined by Congress. Yeah, the unelected branches could run the government. But here was the catch that prevented all of this. Because for all of their faults, for all of the Founding Fathers' faults, and yes, they had a lot, including the fact that a lot of them didn't believe that black people were actually people, okay? More on that later, too. Because I need to go back into explaining this, too. But the final check against the unelected pieces of the government was this. And it was ingenious. No law that had to do with taxing and spending, they would call that a money bill in the Parliament. That's exactly what they would call it. It's a money bill. Has to begin in the House of Representatives, the people's house. And that's how it earned that reputation as being the people's house. Because it was, and it always was by design, under this system. Now, I go back to Mr. Hawks's words here, because I'm not going to get into how everything got ruined when senators were popularly elected. And it opened the doors, it opened the floodgates to how people will vote to get what they want, or vote against their best interests and be completely and utterly brainwashed. Let's get away from this. Let's get back to Mr. Hawks's words and not mine. Ready? the power-sharing illusion. And Abbott isn't alone. The fever is spreading, and yes, it is. Other red state governors are watching, learning. Indiana is already going to try, itching to try their own variations on nullification. Florida, Missouri, Mississippi, authoritarianism loves company. This is the moment where the scaffolding begins to creak. You know what's coming next when you start hearing creaking and groaning in the metal underpinnings of a ship, let's say the Titanic. His words now, not mine. The Titanic comment was mine. And beneath it, the foundation is already cracked. What we're seeing is not a system in conflict, it's a system in denial. And I'll explain why in a moment. One where the oxygen of compromise has been sucked out by the jet engines of grievance politics. My words now, not his, and a very stupid, brainwashed people who will get ginned up over anything they are told to be ginned up over. And do you know how they got to be this stupid and how they got to be this ginned up over and all? Because it was repeatedly banged into their head like this all the time until it stuck. His words again, not mine. One where power is no longer a tool for governance, but a shield from consequence. A consequence-free move, which has never been guaranteed by the United States Constitution. Ever. But I got my free speech. No, you don't. You are not immune from the consequences of your actions. His words now, not mine again. A cloak for corruption. A promise of immunity for whatever you can get away with if you wear the right colors. Hell's Angels or Sons of Anarchy? Welcome to the edge of something worse. And now the big historical underpinning, and I need to make sure that I am not in an I told you so unicourse moment. And okay, I am at the map. Great, I'm at the same map that I'm at here. You can get out of this. My other map, the other map, I've marked it up, and I'm going to show that one to you when I do part 2, because that's going to actually talk about what this map really means. This map here gets explained in part 2. It's the split he believes is going to happen, and how it's going to happen, and how it's going to eventually wind up. Okay, but you're going to notice that the borders are very similar to something else. Oh my goodness, I got another one, but that's okay. That's okay, I can manage 2 of them. The something else, with the exception of Virginia, is this is a U.S. Civil War map. Help, Rory. Help me out, Rory. There we go. Thank you, Rory. So this is a Civil War map. Okay, from probably about at least 1863, because West Virginia is a state. But you'll notice Virginia stayed, and that'll be explained in part 2, but I want to go with this map. This is basically the root cause of it all, and it is the South. I'm sorry for people like me that live in the South. and have to put up with this garbage every day of their lives. Okay? Every day. We have to put up with the garbage of the South. And I'm going to tell you right now, I am getting tired of it too, just like everybody else is. We're getting tired of your garbage. Might as well take it out. Now, post-surrender. So we have to be post-Robert E. Lee's surrender at Appomattox Courthouse. And nothing happened to anybody in the Confederacy. Nothing. Nothing at all. There we go. Jefferson Davis, he walked free. Robert E. Lee, he walked free. Any of the other ones? Any of the other generals? Any of the other generals? You know, they didn't get anything either. Nothing at all. At all. In fact, a lot of them got pardons. Because apparently the 14th Amendment was supposed to be designed to solve all of the problems. A piece of paper was designed, just like a gun-free zone, that piece of paper is supposed to stop it. And it's supposed to put a stop to everything. It didn't now, did it? Because down in the South, we had Jim Crow. We had the sharecroppers. We had all sorts of little problems that came up and bigger problems that came up that directly involved anybody of African descent, and always put the screw job on someone from African descent. Always did. It was never to make a black person's life easier. Oh heavens no. Oh heavens no. The South, post-Civil War, was designed to punish the black people that were freed. And to make sure that, quote, they knew their place, unquote. I'm sorry, that would have been their words, not mine. Get over it. But it's there. But it is there. With my bag's nearly full, let's get this going here, and we're going to see just what we can make before we call this a night. Let's actually do a little bit more of gameplay here, and let's just see what we can get to here. I know, Trade Boy. Here we go. Scoot back up just enough to get him. Let's inch up there. There's a way to do it, and you don't have to worry about going. You don't have to worry because you're right next to the fire when you gotta cook. Okay, so we got medium hide. No, thank goodness. We got heavy leathers. I need to get 6 of you. Okay, 6 salts. Let's not forget that either. So let's get 6. Oh, I got 5. Give me 6. There we go. Yay! Alright, now let's see up here. We got the raptor hide belt to make. Ta-da! And barbaric leggings. Oh, I need a moss agate. I don't have that. Uh-oh. Oh, I know Turkey Tancha does. I'll just have to have it mailed to me. So 2 fine threads. Let's go here. I'm going to mouse this one, sorry. Sometimes I am not fully... We got this. Okay. Oh, I could make a green leather. Oh, I need a green dye. Well, why don't we do that too, and then we'll call it a night. Right? Right. Well, I'll cook a little bit, but I'm not going to torture you with that. So we'll make the green leather belt and the well, no, I can't make both. Now, wait a minute. I can't make both because that's just goofy. The green leather belt would help me better because it's the agility belt. So let's do it. So I need a green dye. Help me out here, people. Green dye. Now, I am still going to make a raptor hide belt. Oh, I would need the buckle. I'm still going to make that belt anyway. Well, I got buckles elsewhere, too. But I'm still going to make the belt, and I'm still going to cook, and we're still going to call it a night. So, for today's news and Warcraft, this is Ainann with Rory, the bear cub cat. And I wish you a great day and great gaming. And hopefully, you've learned something, so I won't have to go and say, I told you so. Good night, everybody.